There is a specific kind of pain that has no name. It is not heartbreak. It is not grief. It is not anger, though it feels like all three at once. It is the moment you realize that the person who knew you better than anyone in the world, the person who sat with you through your worst nights, who heard every dream you were too afraid to say out loud, looked at everything you trusted them with, and chose to take it. My name is Daniel, and this is the story of the day I found my best friend's face on the cover of a business magazine, built on the idea I whispered to him in confidence 2 years earlier. Let me take you back to late 2019. I was 26 years old, working a logistics job that paid just enough to survive and not enough to live. Every lunch break, every commute, every sleepless night, I was filling notebooks, ideas, sketches, numbers, questions. I had always believed, or with a certainty I couldn't explain, that I was meant to build something. I just hadn't found the right idea yet. Then one evening in September, sitting in my car outside a restaurant after a delivery run, I watched the owner argue with a supplier over a wrong order. Again, third time that month. I had seen this exact scene dozens of times across dozens of restaurants. And something clicked. What if there was a platform, a simple mobile app, that connected small local restaurants directly with nearby farmers and food suppliers? No middlemen, no miscommunication, direct relationships, transparent pricing, fresher food. I called it Fresh Link. Over the next 8 months, I built the entire concept from scratch. The revenue model, a small commission on each transaction, the onboarding system for both restaurants and suppliers, the trust mechanism so both sides felt protected. I had hand-drawn wireframes, spreadsheets, even a rough financial projection showing profitability within 18 months. It was the most complete, most thought-through thing I had ever created. But I had one problem. I had zero technical ability. I couldn't build the app. I couldn't code a single line. I needed a partner, and I knew exactly who to call. Marcus Webb had been my best friend since we were 11 years old. We grew up 3 houses apart on the same street. We failed our driving tests on the same day. We celebrated each other's first jobs, first heartbreaks, first real failures. 15 years of complete, unconditional trust. By 2019, Marcus had built himself into someone impressive. Computer science degree, 2 years of freelance app development, a growing network in the startup world. He was sharp, technically brilliant, and, I would have bet my life on this, completely loyal. I called him on a Tuesday evening in May 2020. I remember every detail: the kitchen table, the cold coffee, the notebooks stacked beside me. He answered on the second ring. "I have something," I told him. "Something I've been building for almost a year. Something real. But I need a technical partner. Someone I trust completely." There was a pause. Then he said, "Daniel, if you trust me with it, I will protect it like it's my own." I want you to sit with that sentence for a moment. I will protect it like it's my own. 3 days later, I sat across from Marcus at his apartment and laid everything on the table: every notebook, every wireframe, every projection, the name, Fresh Link, the vision, everything. Marcus asked sharp, smart questions for 2 hours. He was leaning forward, nodding, writing things down. At one point, he looked up at me and said, "Daniel, this is genuinely good. This could actually work." We shook hands that night, 50-50 partners, equal founders. I drove home, feeling for the first time in years like my life was finally beginning. The first 2 months were everything I had hoped for. Daily texts, shared documents, Marcus sending me rough interface screenshots at midnight, me building the business side, contacting local restaurants, researching suppliers, mapping out a funding strategy. We were building something together. I could feel it. Then month 3, the messages slowed. I told myself, development is hard. He's deep in the work. This is normal. Month 4, days would pass with no reply. When I called, he'd answer briefly, "It's coming together, don't stress." Click. Month 5, 3 weeks of silence. I drove to his apartment. His car was parked outside. I knocked for 4 minutes. Nobody answered. I stood outside that door for a long time, longer than I should have, because some part of me already knew, and the rest of me was absolutely refusing to accept it. I told myself 100 stories on the drive home. He's overwhelmed. He's struggling. He needs space. He would never. Marcus would never. I repeated it like a prayer. I just didn't realize I had already stopped believing it. March 2021. A Thursday morning. I was eating breakfast, half awake, scrolling through LinkedIn on my phone. A venture capital firm I recognized had shared a post. They were announcing a seed funding round, $1.2 million, for a food tech startup called FreshBridge, founded by Marcus Webb. I put my phone face down on the table. I picked it back up. I read every word again, slowly. FreshBridge, a mobile platform connecting independent restaurants directly with local food suppliers, eliminating middlemen, reducing costs, improving freshness and supplier relationships. I went to the website and I saw my wireframes redesigned, but mine. The commission structure, mine. The onboarding flow, mine. The exact sub-markets I had identified after months of research, mine. Even the tagline. Fresh connections, real savings. A polished, professional version of a sentence I had handwritten in a notebook in 2019. My coffee cup was still in my hand. I don't remember putting it down. I called Marcus, straight to voicemail. I called again, voicemail. I typed, "Marcus, call me right now." 3 blue ticks, no reply. I sat at that kitchen table for 6 hours. I did not move. I did not eat. I just pulled out every notebook, every saved message, every email. And I built a timeline so clear, so documented, so undeniable, that even I could no longer tell myself any other story. My best friend had taken everything I gave him in trust and built his future on it, while I was still sitting at the same kitchen table, waiting. Here is what I want to tell anyone who has ever been in a moment like that. The first instinct is to burn everything down, post publicly, call his investors, confront him in person, make noise until someone listens. I almost did all of it. I had the Instagram post drafted. I had his investor's email open. I had driven halfway to his apartment before I pulled over on the side of the road and sat there in the dark. And I made myself think emotion was not going to win this. Documentation was. I found an intellectual property attorney named Sandra through a former colleague. I emailed her at 2:17 in the morning. Subject line, stolen business concept. I have significant documentation. She replied at 6:58 a.m. When we met, I brought everything. Dated notebooks going back to 2019. Emails where I had described FreshLink's model in explicit detail, with Marcus's replies showing he had read and understood every word. A voice message from October 2020 where Marcus responded to a detailed concept I had recorded and sent him, confirming the partnership and the idea. Sandra reviewed everything for 40 minutes. Then she looked up. "This is not a strong case," she said. My heart dropped. "This is a very strong case." We filed a formal legal notice to Marcus and to his investors, documenting the full timeline, the origin of the concept, the evidence of disclosure, the clear and systematic similarities between FreshLink and FreshBridge. Marcus broke his silence the same evening. He called me. And the voice on the other end of that phone was not the Marcus I had grown up with. It was cold, calculated, almost rehearsed. He said ideas weren't property. He said I had never built anything real. He said he had done all the actual work, and I was trying to steal credit for his success. I listened to every word. I said almost nothing, because I had already said everything that needed to be said through my attorney. The legal process took 7 months. 7 months of depositions, documentation reviews, and waiting. 7 months of watching Marcus give interviews about his original vision while I sat in attorney meetings presenting the notebooks he had once held in his own hands. There were weeks I couldn't sleep, weeks where I questioned whether the cost, the attorney fees, the mental weight, the reopening of every wound, was worth it. But I kept coming back to one thought, not about money, not even about winning. If I walked away, Marcus would do this again, to someone who didn't have dated notebooks, to someone who couldn't afford an attorney, to someone who would just disappear quietly. I was not going to be that person, and I was not going to let him find that person next. In October 2021, we reached a settlement. The confidentiality agreement prevents me from sharing exact numbers. What I can tell you is this: it was significant. It formally acknowledged the origin of the concept, and it required a written credit in FreshBridge's founding documentation. FreshBridge shut down 14 months later. Mismanagement, reportedly. Turns out, stealing an idea is the easy part. Knowing what to do with it is something else entirely. Here is the part nobody talks about. I won. By every measurable definition, I won. The settlement, the acknowledgement, the documentation that will exist forever. But winning didn't feel the way I thought it would, because the thing I lost, the thing no settlement can touch, was 15 years. 15 years of someone who knew every version of me, who sat with me through things I've never told anyone else, who was, for a long time, the person I would have called first in any emergency. That person doesn't exist anymore. Maybe he never did, not in the way I believed, or maybe he did exist once. And something changed, and I'll never know exactly when or why. That uncertainty, that question with no answer, is the thing that stays. Not the anger, not the money, not even the injustice, just the question. What happened to you, Marcus? I used the settlement to start over. Different idea, different industry. People around me who have earned trust over time, not just received it. 8 months ago we launched. Last month, our first profit. Small, real, completely mine. And if I could go back, knowing everything, would I still have trusted him? Honestly, yes, because the version of me that trusted people completely, that shared dreams without fear, that believed in partnerships built on handshakes, that version of me was not naive. He was just human. And I refuse to let what Marcus did take that away from me. If this story touched something in you, if you've lived a version of this, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, real, unfiltered, human, I'll see you in the next one.